My first international travel experience was about 10 years ago, and that's kind of where my love for travel started. And at that point, I just started traveling like everywhere. Like I told you, I was taking off like 2 months a year probably from work.
Wow.
I was always fee for service, so I had never had like any huge commitment to my agency jobs. So I had that flexibility and ability to travel, and now even more so with telehealth.
Hi, I'm Kim Tolson and I'm the traveling therapist. It's my passion to teach therapists how to navigate online private practices and multiple income streams so they can travel the world. I'm a digital nomad with a virtual insurance-based private therapy practice and a multi-six-figure coaching business. I'm obsessed with entrepreneurship and developing tools that can help therapists live an adventurous lifestyle. In this podcast, I will discuss my journey as a digital nomad. I'll chat with other traveling therapists and help you navigate the complexities of running an online insurance-based practice. I'm so glad to have you with me on this journey.
Hey, Morgan from SuperBill here. You've told your clients that you're out of network and that you can give them a SuperBill, but what happens next? Dealing with insurance is the least favorite part of your job. It's one of the reasons you're a private pay provider, but you care about your clients and their ability to continue their care with you. Enter SuperBill. We save you and your clients time and money with benefits checks, claim filing and tracking, denial resolution, and concierge support. Let us do the heavy lifting of navigating out-of-network benefits. Learn more at thesuperbill.com/Kim Tolson.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Traveling Therapist Podcast. I'm so excited today to have Sara Barroso here with us. So I just kind of ran across her on Facebook. I guess I saw you on Facebook and saw that she was a therapist living in Tanzania. Did I pronounce that correctly? In Tanzania, and I was just like fascinated by her story. So I asked her to come on the podcast and talk about it and just share her experience with this. So Sara, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. And I'd love to just start out just talking about like, how'd you end up there? Like, tell us all about it.
Okay, so I ended up in Tanzania. It's been over a year. I actually ended up here because my husband's Tanzanian.
Oh, wow.
So we got married in 2020. And at that point, I was working for a community mental health agency. And I was traveling a lot when I was working there. And I was taking probably about 2 months off a year. And, I was having to place my clients with another therapist while I was traveling. There was no telehealth that was happening then.
Yeah.
So when I ended up, telling my job I'm moving to Tanzania, this is what I'll be doing. They looked into it to see if I could do telehealth, because at that point I was doing telehealth through the agency. And they told me that I wouldn't be able to keep my job. So I pressed a little to figure out why and what was kind of holding it back. And I didn't really get direct answers. So at that point I decided that I was going to quit my job. So I did. And at the time I wasn't licensed yet. So I took my board exams immediately. I passed, I submitted my paperwork, I got licensed, I went to Tanzania, and that's how I ended up here. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. So, oh my gosh. So I guess it kind of propelled you though to go ahead and get your license and all that. The fact that they were like, no, you can't keep working here, I'm guessing.
Definitely. I felt like I didn't really have an option. So I was moving to Tanzania and I didn't really feel like I had many skills for jobs here. So at that point, I knew there was a lot of telehealth positions, but all of them that were available, you needed a license. Or my other option would be to, open my own practice, which I ended up doing.
Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So what has it been like? I mean, first of all, I just wonder, what's the time zone difference from your state of licensure to where you are?
So it's 7 hours right now, but then when the clocks change, it's 8 hours.
Oh my gosh. So it's 8 a.m. for me right now. What time is it there?
6.
Oh wow. Oh my gosh. So how have you navigated that? I'm just curious to hear.
I kind of just I'm pretty old school, so I still write things down.
Okay.
A planner. So I kind of just jot it down there, and I know 7 hours, 8 hours. it hasn't been hard for me to navigate that. That has not been challenging for me. It's actually been kind of nice because I offer really early appointments with my clients. So, the 7 a.m. appointments, the 8 a.m. appointments. So typically I'll work from 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time till noon Eastern Standard
Oh,
Time, which
perfect.
is about 2 p.m. my time I start. So that works out really well. Yeah. So that's how I navigate the time.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, well, that works. Old school, write it down. I mean, that makes sense. I'm always looking
Yeah.
for these sophisticated ways to do it, but that probably works pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so had you ever been there before, or was this like a total new culture? Or, like, what was the experience for you just moving there? I'm just so curious about it.
So actually, one of my first like international travel experiences was Tanzania. I started traveling about 10 years ago and I came over to Tanzania and I was doing some volunteer work in a school. I was
Wow.
working as a teacher. I came over with one of my best friends who's also a therapist, and she was working over in the juvenile detention center here. Yeah, and we kind of just fell in love with the culture here. Both of us, she actually runs a school here, has a few business partners. So she doesn't live here, but that's kind of how I got introduced to Tanzania and its culture. And at that time, I actually met my now husband. I met
Wow.
him on Mount Kilimanjaro on the mountain.
Oh my
So
gosh, that is
yes.
so cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we kind of remained friends throughout, the last 10 years. And yeah, that
Wow.
was like I told you, that was my first international travel experience. It was about 10 years ago. And that's kind of where my love for travel started. And at that point, I just started traveling like everywhere. Like I told you, I was taking off like 2 months a year probably from work.
Wow.
I was always fee for service. So I had never had like any huge commitment to my agency jobs. So I had that flexibility and ability to travel. And now even more so with telehealth. So
Wow.
yeah.
That's so cool.
Hmm.
So do you find yourself traveling while you're living there, or is it more like just like such a like cool
Yes.
traveling experience, or so you still do?
Yeah, so we've traveled throughout Kenya a little bit. We've also traveled throughout Tanzania. There is a small island called Zanzibar off of Tanzania, which is absolutely gorgeous.
Oh my gosh.
I go like 3 or 4 times this year. I think I've gone, yeah, 3 or 4 times this year. It's only like 40-minute flight from us, so
Wow.
definitely a gorgeous place to visit if you ever get a chance. So we go over there a lot. And then obviously, like I told you, we go to Kenya, which is beautiful too. I don't know if you're familiar.
No, I've never
Um,
been to Africa. I mean, anywhere like
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You
So my
know?
husband works in the tourism industry. So
Oh wow.
we've also been on safaris too. So there's that to do as well,
Wow.
but after living here and doing it, it's not something I do like too frequently, but I can go kind of whenever
Yeah.
we decide to get up and go. So it's kind of nice to kind of have that
That is
at our
so cool.
fingertips.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, that is so cool. Do you have any social media accounts? I want to like watch your, do you post like pictures of the safaris and stuff?
I don't have a huge social media presence. I just
Uh-huh.
have my personal Facebook account.
Oh, cool.
I know, and a lot of people, because I travel so much, they've always said you should have a blog or you should be on social media. And I've never
Yeah.
really gotten into it.
Yeah. It's not
Maybe
all it's
one
cracked up to
day.
be. It's not all
Maybe
it's
one
cracked up
day.
to be.
Yeah. I
It's kind of a
know.
pain in the butt. Okay, that's so cool. Okay, so I'm just curious, like, what are the licensing regulations? Like, how did you figure that out? Working there,
Yeah.
I'm just curious about all that, like how it works.
So that was like one of like the big things. So before, like when I found out, like, my community mental health job is not going to let me work for them doing telehealth, like I was like, kind of like anxious, like, okay, what am I gonna do now? Like
Yeah.
I'm moving. I need to figure it out. I don't have a license. So I was kind of, frantic, like, okay, let me get my license. Like, I had to take action right away. So I shot out an email to the board. I'm an LMHC. I asked them what it would look like if I were to move to Tanzania and if it would be okay if I did telehealth with my clients present in the state of Massachusetts. And they said, yeah, that's fine. They okayed it. They gave me like a link to where it was stated that it was okay for me to do so. So I checked with them. They said it was okay. I also checked my malpractice insurance to make sure I was covered for that, being out of country. And I think that's about it that I did.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Which malpractice insurance do you use?
I have CPH right now. I think at the
Okay.
time I had it HPSO, I think it's called. The
Yeah,
other
yeah.
one. I think I had that
Okay.
one previously.
Yeah, that's the one I had, CPH, and they seem to be pretty good about it. They just say, like, as long as you're following your state licensure rules, that you'll be
Yes.
covered. But I guess the legal actions would have to take place back in your state of licensure, is what they told me, at least.
Yeah.
Hopefully there never
hmm
will be any, but yeah.
Yeah. Right. And
Oh my
luckily
gosh.
I still have a big support system back in Massachusetts.
Oh,
So
cool.
as far as like mail going to the house and license renewal, like it's, I do all that online, but as far as getting the actual license, like can have someone retrieve the mail.
That's cool.
I have a house in Massachusetts, which is being rented. So that's kind of how I financially am able to do this. Cause obviously like I just up and left. So I rent my house out,
Oh, wow, that's
which
great.
makes it
Yeah,
possible.
that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are the laws or regulations in Tanzania? Are there any like, are you allowed to work there? I'm just curious about that.
So I can't work here with people that are Tanzanian citizens or natives
Okay,
here without a work permit.
I
So,
see. Okay,
but they
but
don't
it's
have like
fine.
any like governing body as far as like for like psychologists or mental health therapists that I would have to speak with
I
prior to
gotcha.
practice.
I got you. So as long as you're like making your income outside of the country, there's no regulations on it, I guess is.
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's good to know. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I guess being married to somebody who is a legal resident there, does that give you residency? I'm just curious, like, how does that work? Or do you have to have a visa? I'm just,
Yeah, I think it's a 3-year resident card. Yeah. So
okay.
I could be here for a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
Okay. Neat.
Yes.
So I mean, your internet connection seems great. How's the internet there? Just always curious in these other countries.
Um, well, thank you. I'm happy that it's great. So it can be hard, especially, so that was something that was really stressful when I first moved here. Tanzania being, a third world country, not as developed as other countries. They're behind a lot on a lot of things. So the internet was definitely hard, like trying to find a good provider that did not want to charge me like $150 a month, $200 a month. Like it was
Yeah.
insane what they were trying to charge.
Wow.
So it took a while and it was like very nerve wracking because I'm like, okay, I got the license, like, I got the job. Now I have clients and I don't know how this internet thing's going to work out. But it ended up working out okay. We had multiple people come to our house to try to test the internet to see if they can get a signal that said they couldn't. So
Wow.
it took a while. It took about 2 or 3 months to get internet set up at my house. So that was definitely a challenge. We also have frequent power outages.
Hmm.
So during a drought, sometimes we won't have power. Also, sometimes the government just likes to shut off the power and not really tell us why. And
Whoa.
that could happen for sometimes a week, and it
Oh
could
my
happen
gosh.
not for like 7 days straight, but they'll sometimes tell us like next week we'll be shutting off the power all next week for every day for a period of time. So meaning,
Wow.
maybe for one day it'll be 10 hours, maybe for the next day it'll be 5 hours, maybe for the following day it'll be like 8 hours. And they kind of alternate. So sometimes they'll shut it off at like 6 p.m. and they'll turn it back on at like 5 a.m. And then
Wow.
sometimes they'll do it the opposite way, like where they're shutting it off during the day. So
Oh my
yeah, so it's
gosh.
very tricky. So I learned quickly that I needed a generator.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So generator is important.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, here's a question for my listeners. Do you offer your clients a SuperBill for their therapy visits? And do you know if your clients are actually successful in navigating their benefits and getting reimbursed? Dealing with insurance is probably your least favorite part of being a therapist, and you can bet your clients don't enjoy the hassle either. Thankfully, there's SuperBill, a company that supports you as a provider and helps your clients utilize their out-of-network benefits. Here's how it works. SuperBill does a free benefits check. If the client has out-of-network coverage, SuperBill's team of experts submits their SuperBills directly to the insurance payer. From there, your client can track their reimbursement status online and lean on SuperBill's team to resolve any rejected claims. When your clients save time and money on their therapy, you can retain them longer, and it's a win-win situation. Let SuperBill do the heavy lifting for seamless out-of-network insurance claims. Visit thesuperbill.com/KimTolson to sign up. That's thesuperbill.com/KYMTOLSON. And get your first month free when you use the promo code KimTolson.
And then also, let me just mention what's important about traveling in East Africa is having multiple SIM cards for your phone from all different providers. Because as you move through different regions, different cell providers become like a more powerful signal than maybe the other one you had in.
Wow.
So that's important. So I have probably 3 or 4 different providers of their SIM cards that I alternate. I think that's important. And also I'm always having my power pack that charges my laptop because of the power outages to charge my laptop and my cell phone. Yeah, so I just wanted to point that out. And also calling ahead. So if I know where I'm staying, if I'm not kind of just winging it, I like to call ahead and talk to the hotel owner or the hostel owner, wherever I'm staying, and asking them, is the internet reliable? What's the situation there? I mean, and sometimes they're honest, sometimes they're dishonest, because sometimes they just want, the customer to come to their hotel.
Yeah, exactly.
So sometimes it's helpful to read the reviews, but also ask, if I don't have an option for a 2-room hotel room, because I'm often traveling with my husband, if they have a conference room that I can use, looking into stuff like that to make sure that there's privacy and that no one's overhearing my sessions.
Yeah, right. Such good tips. Oh my gosh. So how do you handle that? Before I hit record, I was telling Sarah, I'm at a public library outside because the library's not even open yet. And it's just nothing like you're dealing with. It sounds way more complicated, but it's so stressful. When you have meetings scheduled and do your clients know? Do you just cancel and it's just fine? How do you navigate that? Because gosh, it just sounds I feel bad even complaining, hearing what you've had to navigate over there. You know what I mean?
Well, it was definitely stressful, probably the first 6 or 7 months, especially being new to private practice, my reputation being on the line. That was my big thing, which I would get stressed out about, is if I didn't want a reputation as not being reliable as a therapist. So that was definitely a big fear. But then as soon as I kind of had everything in place and I knew I have, 4 or 5 different SIM cards, I have a generator, I have solar lamps. If I lose power, that's something else I have. Solar lamps. That's helpful. I have a headlamp too, which is great. It's a camping headlamp.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So definitely it was a hard adjustment, but I think I've adapted to it. And it got easier with time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I hope I get used to it. I'm trying to be more carefree with it, but it's I'm like you, I hate to seem unreliable or flighty or whatever. So yeah, it's definitely been tough.
And as far as the people I work with knowing that I'm in East Africa, I don't really disclose it unless they hear my roosters, we have roosters, or they hear the chickens, or they the cars drive by, because the cars drive by with these big speakers and they're yelling these big announcements, and it's there's nothing you can do. It's extremely loud, and it doesn't matter where you are, you're going to hear it. it's just really loud.
Right.
So, they hear it and they hear it in a different language. And then, they ask me like, where are you? Like, you have roosters and, or, what's that noise? And, or just like sometimes like the sound of like the heavy rainstorms on the tin roof just sounds
Oh,
different and
yeah.
they could pick up on it. So, sometimes it may come up or, sometimes in other ways it's come up. I can't think of a specific example, but
Yeah,
I
sure.
don't like openly disclose it unless like it comes up if they hear a noise or if it's something with scheduling. Yeah. If they
Yeah.
want to schedule like really late appointment, then I'm like, well, I'm actually in East Africa, so I can't see you at, 11 o'clock at night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Oh my goodness. I just have so many questions about just living there in the culture. I guess probably can't get into all that, but it's just like how different is it? Is it, like just what's it like? All that like the power outages and stuff. I wonder, is that like a political thing? Is it like just like to save energy? Like what is that about?
I think it's a lot of things. I think they're trying to improve like infrastructure,
Okay.
the
Oh, I
grid.
see.
So I think it's that. I think it's also political things. I know like a lot of times when there's like political elections or anything political or something hot in the media going on that they don't want a lot of attention on, they may
Uh-huh.
like shut stuff down, including like
Wow.
cell phones and internet, and make sure people cannot be interacting about it.
Wow.
Especially during elections.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think it's a variety of things of why that happens. Hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my goodness. Does it feel? People don't like when I ask this question, but does it feel safe there? Because like, I'm just curious about like crime and how is it for you?
So I feel safe.
Okay.
I don't feel threatened, but
Yeah.
I think it's hard when you're traveling. Okay.
Yeah.
So I grew up in like a city, and it's easy for me to identify in my city, like that I grew up in like an unsafe neighborhood because I grew up there. So I can kind of tell like what's safe and what's not safe. To
Yeah.
me, everything here looks the same. So it's harder for me to identify
Mm.
what's like a not so safe neighborhood just
Yeah.
kind of by like picking up on people's behaviors and like the way they're interacting and kind of like what's going on and what's perceived as kind of shady behavior in this
Mm.
culture. So for me, it's harder for me to identify. I think also just like visually how things look. So to me, I never feel unsafe. I never feel threatened, but it's been kind of clear to me that it's not always safe.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a lot of like very like awful crimes in this area lately
Gosh.
that I don't even want to mention, just terrible things that have
Oh
been
gosh.
happening, which is, I mean, I'm sure, similar things are happening back home.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I think I just don't have like the awareness, I guess, that I would have in my
Yeah.
own neighborhood that I grew up in. So I try to stay like in my house. Most of the houses are like gated and there are like watchmen. So that kind of helps to add like a layer of security.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I hear you. So what I did want to ask you about though is when I started like messaging you on Facebook about where you live and everything, you had also said, actually, I'm going to be leaving too. So I was just curious about that. If you want to talk about that, or how's that process?
I'm moving. Yeah, I'm moving back to Massachusetts. I'm moving back into my house. So
Wow.
that's,
Okay.
and then I don't really know where my journey is going to be next. I
Okay.
haven't really lived in my house. So I think I might want to just settle and live in my house for a little while. And then I know I can't stay put for long. So I know I'll definitely be traveling. I don't know if I'll be like moving out of the
Yeah.
country again. I might just settle for a little bit and see how it goes.
Yeah. I hear you. Are you just like missing the United States, or like just ready to change it up? Or just curious, like what's
You know, it's getting really complicated as far as me like running my business and kind of wanting more. I'm feeling really like isolated from my community, disconnected from other therapists. I
Yeah.
have ideas about what I want to do with my practice and maybe even having a space to see people in person and
Yeah.
having groups to bring people together and having groups to make therapy more affordable for people that can't afford individual therapy, but having in-person groups to have that connection. So I just have all these ideas that I can't possibly implement if I'm in Tanzania.
Right.
So just to really start, I guess, building my practice up more. Also, I've kind of kept my caseload kind of low. Like I probably have about 15 clients that I work with, and I think I can potentially see more clients, and I would like to. So I think a lot of my decision to move back to Massachusetts was that, and wanting to live in my house.
Yeah.
And yeah. And a huge like loss of independence here too. So just wanting to like go back to like my independent woman in America too. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Yeah. So can your husband come back with you, I guess? I don't even know how that works.
No, he will not be coming back with me
Oh,
yet, but
okay.
I'm hoping he'll be along shortly. So we're hoping. We'll see. It's a long
Yeah.
process.
Is it?
Uh,
Yeah. I always
yeah.
wonder about
Yeah.
that. Oh, gosh. Okay.
Yeah. Hmm.
So interesting. Wow. Mm.
So we're hoping by like fall. So not too much longer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's amazing. Yeah. Has he been to the United States before, or is it?
No, he has not. So
Oh, wow.
that's another thing of why we'll probably like stay there for a while because I have to settle, he has to settle and adjust. So not too much moving around, just time
Yeah.
to kind of settle and adjust to things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So cool. What an
Mhm.
adventure you're on, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-huh.
Well, thank you so much for just taking the time today to share your story. I think, people think about doing stuff like this, but they just don't because they don't know like all the unknowns and it can be hard. But it's so cool to hear that you've kind of gone on this adventure and seen all of Africa. And I never even envisioned myself ever doing that for some reason, but it sounds so cool when I hear you talking about it, like a safari and what was it, Zanzibar, the island? Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm going
It's
to
so
go Google
nice.
it after this. I'm going to go look up pictures of Zanzibar.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Well,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much. Yeah. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, how would they, just like through Facebook or?
Probably through email or Facebook. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. Good luck on your journeys and getting back to the United States and all that stuff.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to the Traveling Therapist podcast. For show notes, links, and downloads, head over to thetravelingtherapist.com, where you'll be able to learn more about my journey, the courses I've created for you, and other exciting resources to make your dreams become a reality. If you've enjoyed this episode, please share with your traveling therapist friends, subscribe to the podcast, and if you loved this episode, please leave a review.